Hello and welcome to Own Your Health with me, Katie Brindle. And I wanted to talk to you today about a couple of things which have sort of come to mind due to what's going on sort of in the weather. Not that we talk about politics here on a health podcast, but, we live in this world and therefore what's kind of going on in the political climate does obviously impact all of us. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was how to navigate your health in this weather, because I personally think it's quite difficult to look stylish, be healthy, and navigate this kind of 2 seasons in 1 day weather that we've got going on at the moment. Because at this time of year, suddenly the sun will make an appearance. Now, I am giving this from the Northern Hemisphere, and the weather in England obviously tends to be a little bit cooler than elsewhere. But this information applies to everyone, because the thing about spring, which is where we are right now, is that the sun appears. So the thing is that it's 2 seasons in 1 day. And what's happening is the sun suddenly making its appearance. For those of us unlucky enough to have not been able to go away at the winter time and get winter sun, which is almost everybody, it's the first time you've kind of got warmth going into your bones, and it's quite exciting, and you tend to want to go and sit in it. Now, the problem with that is twofold. The first thing you've got to be aware of is that sun is nonetheless not good for your skin. And it is very, very easy to burn your skin at this time of year if you're not careful. So the first thing to say is, if you're an SPF user, use SPF. Okay, there's a debate about that. Personally, I found one I like. It's taken me many years. It's a bit like natural deodorants. It's taken me many, many years to find an SPF that I actually feel comfortable with, that doesn't clog up my skin and also doesn't end up with a bunch of nasties going into my liver. So I like the newer one. I find it very easy to wear, and it's not full of chemicals. So I'm using that one. But so the first thing is, always use SPF if you use it. Now, if you don't, or as well as, what I use is UV protection. So I have a UV umbrella and I use it all the time. Okay. Now, it's very, very common in Asia. It's not so common in the UK, but nonetheless, it needs to be used. It is a very, very effective way so that you can be on the sunny side of the street and enjoying the warmth going through into your bones without the rays burning through your skin. So I use a UV umbrella and I keep it in my handbag. Now, on that note, I'm in my early 50s now, so I've accumulated things over the course of my life. So I have a few handbags which are smaller, and a few handbags which are more like a tote bag. And at this time of year, I tend to use the tote bag style handbags. It's a bit more of a sort of dumping one, so that I've got somewhere smart where I can kind of hold all the various different gubbins that I need to navigate the weather. So in my bag will be my UV umbrella. Also in my bag will be my sun visor. So I've just got one of those little kind of tennis visor things, which just kind of like a hairband, just kind of go onto my hair like that. And I can just pull it off and it doesn't mess up my hair. So I use that as well. Okay. So I will have that in my handbag. I'll have my umbrella in my handbag, and I will either use both or I'll orbit between one or the other. But it's very, very useful to have those things available so that you can be on the sunny side of the street. Or if you want to go to a cafe and have a nice drink, you can sit there and be on the sunny side and feel the warmth on your bones, but not on your skin. Now, the other thing you have to be very careful about at this time of year is that even though the sun is out, when you're in the sun, it's warm. But my goodness me, when you're not in the sun, if the sun has just suddenly gone round a building, or it's suddenly gone to the end of the day, and 1 minute you're sitting in the warmth, it feels quite nice, then all of a sudden the sun's gone round, then it gets cold. And you've got to be really, really careful, because this is this sort of 2 seasons in 1 day concept. So at that point, suddenly you can go from what feels like summer to what suddenly feels like early spring, late winter. So the other thing that I will always have in my bag is, funny enough, this, which is why I'm wearing it. Okay. This is something I bought years and years ago, and it is perfect for spring. The reason why it's perfect for spring is because it's wool, so it's warm, but it's also a bright color. Because the thing about spring is you want to wear bright pops of color. In the autumn, when you tend to wear scarves and things, they tend to be in the muted tones of autumn. But what you'll see in the shops is all of the spring clothes are bright pops of color. So by having something that's made of wool that's bright, is seasonal in its color, but it's also warm and effective. And then the other thing that this is basically a big drapey scarf. So it means that it folds easily into my bag, but I can also just wrap it round to give myself that extra layer of coverage at the top of the body. Now, this is important because this is where the yang energy circulates. And this is where, if you're not careful, wind can penetrate. And in Chinese medicine, we say that wind is the spearhead of disease. So if I'm walking around, because I'll think, oh, it's warm and sunny, I'll just wear my jumper, I don't need this, I'm just going out like this, and in comes some wind, just a tiny little gust is all it takes. Bam, it's gone in because this jumper's not quite warm enough because it's still quite cold. So you want to have this layer on. Okay, always make sure you've got that extra layer. So if you see a scarf of a bright color at any point, whether it's in the sales or in the shops right now or anything like that, I urge you to wear it. And if you don't have a bright color, just wear a scarf. And the other thing, if you don't want to lug wool around, is silk scarves are also very useful. Now, silk scarves, you can obviously get very, very expensive ones. You can go to like Elmer's and they sell loads of different ones there, but you can find them very, very easily in charity shops. They're the kind of thing that end up sort of when people have wardrobe clear outs, they sort of find these things and then they give them into the charity shops. I have found so many good silk scarves over the years from just rummaging around my local Oxfam, and I tend to keep a little collection of them. So if I don't want to cumbersome myself with a whole great woolen thing, I can just wear a little silk thing instead, and that will just do the trick because it protects the upper body and it protects the throat. Last but by no means least is footwear. Now, again, footwear at this time of year is a tricky one because it can actually get quite warm in the heat of the day. And if your footwear is too heavy, you're going to get too hot. So one of the things that I wear at this time of year is I've got these really good trainers that I bought a few years ago, which they're like mule trainers. So these are actually my slippers. So the trainers they basically look like this, but they're trainers so that they're warm because they've actually got a little bit of kind of fluff in them. These are indeed my slippers, but my trainers look very similar, but they're open backed so that I get the warmth on the sole of my feet, but I've got the open back giving me a little bit of ventilation, which keeps the feet at a really, really good temperature, transitioning from morning to daytime to evening. Today, I'm doing this broadcast from home. So the same things are applying, even though I'm inside the house, because we've turned the heating off because I don't like having it on at the best of times. So the rooms are undulating between this room, which is quite warm because I've got the sun on it, to my bedroom, which is upstairs on the other side of the house, which is quite nippy. And I was just doing a live feed up there. So I will always wear my slippers inside the house all the way through to high summer when I then move to flip-flops. Not a good idea having bare feet on the ground. Okay. So I wear slippers as long as possible. And I've nonetheless got this so that as I'm transitioning through the rooms, I've got an extra layer with me so I don't catch cold, because we've also got windows open, the kitchen doors are open, and the sun is coming in and out. So I hope that was just some useful advice, because the thing about this time of year is that you kind of want to look smart as well. And then it's like, well, what am I wearing? Winter, summer, spring, jacket, you don't want to be too hot or too cold. So that was that. The other one that I wanted to talk about was just some kind of free stuff, because I'm very aware of what's going on in the news at the moment with all the tariffs and sort of prices then going up as a result and sort of all that tit for tat going on at politics. And as I said, this isn't a political feed. The rest is politics is probably the one to go and listen to if you want to get involved in that. But what I wanted to do was just remind you of a couple of really, really good health and beauty techniques which are free, which in my opinion are the best ones. Okay. So the best beauty thing that I do is I use ice cubes on my face. So it's just one of the cheapest things you can ever do. All I do is I went to IKEA and bought some ice cube holders. They were cheap as anything. I think I bought like 10 for 50p or something like that. And that was eons ago. So the use per wear is now literally nothing. And I have filtered water at my kitchen. I have one of those tap filter things, which just filters it before the tap water comes through. That would be ideal. If you don't have that, don't worry. And I have a whole freezer rack available for ice cubes only. Okay. And then what I do every morning is I have my beautiful big bowl and I just tip all the ice cubes into the bowl, run the cold water, and I literally put my head into the ice cold water. Okay. Now, if that feels like a step too far, then you can just use a flannel. Okay. And just press the cold flannel onto your skin. It is one of the best ways to get the circulation moving on your skin. It's really good for tightening. It's good for eliminating toxicity. It's good for puffiness. It's good for inflammation. It's good for puffy eyes. It is literally one of the best beauty techniques going, and it's basically free. Okay. And then all you do is once you've finished all of that, you take the ice cube trays back downstairs, refill them for the next day, put them back in the freezer, and that's it. Once you finish with the bowl of icy cold water, you just tip the bowl down the sink. And that's literally it. It is brilliant. It's tried and tested, and it's absolutely brilliant. So that's the first thing that I do. The other thing that I wanted to remind you of is that face massage is one of the best beauty techniques. And the thing is, there's a lot of emphasis from beauty companies selling you creams and things, saying to you that the cream has got the active ingredient of X, Y, and Z, and that active ingredient is the thing that's going to do all the work. And because of that active ingredient, you're going to look like the model selling it to you. And I just want to point out to you that that is not true. Okay, that the model that they're using is being paid to look pretty, and genetically she's been predisposed to look like that in the first place and is highly unlikely to have ever used the product. She's just being paid to endorse it and to promote it. So we just need to remind ourselves that the beauty industry is very much smoke and mirrors, and that actually the things that you can use in life are free. Okay, so for example, one of the best things that you can possibly do is just use like your index finger and in middle finger. So, for example, massaging up and down the sides of the ears like this, going to finger and knuckle, going down the sides of the face like this. I personally don't suggest going upwards. I know some people do, but I like to clear the lymph. So we're going down. In an ideal world, you'd use a little bit of oil. Obviously, I've got one, so I'd say use mine. But if you don't want to, because we're doing cost efficient beauty, we normally recommend rice oil. Is one of the best things, or sesame, untoasted organic sesame oil or rice bran oil are really, really good cheap ones that you can use that don't smell. Then you can still keep going with the knuckle and you can go along here and down and sweeping up here, around the back and down. So I'm having to be a bit careful on my face because I'm doing quite a lot of recordings today. And then just rotating over the eyes and then to the pads. And then just go to your fingertips, just gently. Just a very, very, very simple facial massage. And it is so important to massage the skin very, very gently. No tools required, not even a tool. Obviously, I'm queen of the tools because I also think that tools are very cost efficient beauty techniques in themselves, because once you've bought one, you've got it forever. But that's just a really, really simple massage technique for your face that you can do for yourself for free. And often these beauty techniques, the best things in life are free. So it's really important to go back to these old remedies that we've got. There's thousands more of this stuff on my social media. But other than that, I just wanted to just do a little heads up for that, to give you a couple of free beauty techniques, some advice about how to navigate this weather. And let me know in the comments below if you found this useful, if you want some more lifestyle advice, and if you've got some beauty techniques yourself which are free or very, very cheap that we can all share and enjoy.